In the end of the last video, I explained that I was going to be getting level 40 and mount training in this video. Now I never explained what that is, but I will be explaining it later this video. All you need to know right now, increased movement speed, very, very, very expensive. So in this episode I'm going to be working towards getting 100 gold in order to be able to afford it, and on top of that I'm going to explain more about what it is later. I want to let you guys know that I do have a lot of footage built up for this series, but I'm not trying to spam my YouTube channel with tons of WoW uploads, so I'm going to just try and upload them at a decent pace so that I don't fall too far behind again because of computer issues. Either way, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you do, like, comment, subscribe, and let's carry on. The second thing I want to bring up is you guys probably see this bar in the middle of my screen right here. Now what this bar is it's a new add-on that I picked up, and this add-on is called Healbot. Now, Healbot is not exactly what it sounds like, but I'll give you guys a very quick explanation if you're interested, and if not, this might be really confusing, so I apologize. Now, this is an add-on that I used back in Lich King and Cataclysm, which are future expansions for World of Warcraft. What it basically does is, instead of having to manually target someone, like you can see I'm targeting myself right now, instead of having to manually target someone to heal them, you set certain abilities to this add-on. So you'll see your whole team. I can bring up like a test window, but for now let's just say that it's me. So say I want to apply rejuvenation to myself. So I just middle click it, and then bam, I have rejuvenation now, instead of having to manually target the person. Or say I want to use healing touch. Oh, there you go, bam, healing touch. I also have it set so that if I don't have the proper buffs on somebody, the bar turns white like this. So if I want to get Mark of the Wild, I have it set to a pretty complicated one, which is Shift, Control, left click, because I'm not going to be using it too much. And then bam, once the person has Mark of the Wild, the bar turns green, so I know that they don't need that buff anymore. It's very complicated, honestly, to set up, but if you're a healer, I think that this is a pretty useful add-on to have, so I would strongly recommend it, and I need to go finish setting it up myself. But the nice thing about this too, on top of this, is since my buffs and my heals are all on this now, I can actually remove them from my action bar, so now I have even more space on my action bar to put other stuff there. I can probably take off Remove Curse as well, since I'm pretty likely to be just adding that to Healbot in a second here too. I mean, it's not every day you run into a level 8 in a level 30 to 45 zone, naked, sprinting down the road, man. Trying to make it to the human leveling zone. Yeah, well, you're almost there. No friends in this game, so is there a way to join raids as a solo player? Generally, your best bet is to try to join a guild. If you play on my server, I can invite you to my guild, and we're eventually going to be doing raids together, so. Now, the alternative to being in a guild is, of course, you could join a PUG group. Now, PUG stands for Pickup Group, so basically it's just a group of random people that you'll usually find through trade chat. So, like, for example, if I'm in a completely different zone, if I open the guild tab right now, you can see all the people that are online in my guild and where they are, what their levels are, what their class is, and all that stuff. And I can, like, directly whisper them through there. It's a good way of finding good teammates, making friends, and stuff like that. Whoa! What the hell did he kill? Are we needing it, or are we just... I think we should all just greet it, because it's a blue. You're gonna just greet it? Oh, Peace got it. I think it's fine. Here, you want these other ones? These got intellect on them. Now, you've probably noticed in the background already, but I am doing some questing right now with a couple of my guildmates. Now, this is actually a very, very cool zone. It's called Stranglethorn Vale. One of my favorites for a few reasons. The main reason is that it has a lot of cool kill quests, and there's a lot of zones like this in future expansions that are kind of like jungle areas that have a lot of kill quests. I don't hate animals, I just like the zones, I promise. The other reason that I think this zone is very interesting is because it's one of the first very heavily contested zones in the game. Now what this means is that there are a lot of Horde and a lot of Alliance players trying to quest here all at once, getting the same quests. So you can imagine what happens when there's a bit of an overlap with the different factions trying to do the same quest at the same time. There tend to be small wars breaking out. Sometimes they can be fun, but sometimes they can just be kind of distracting because they do waste a lot of time, especially since honor points aren't out yet. Bam, there we go. Level 39, just one level away from so many massive things, and I am so excited. At the next level, now that we... Oh, hey, look, I finished the quest there, too. At the next level, I will gain access to Moon Conform. I get some really awesome spells. If I have enough money, I can do my mount training. Dude, level 40 is gonna be freaking great. So there's a cool concept that exists in the area of Booty Bay over here down in the south area of Stranglethorn Vale, and that cool thing is right here. There's actually an auction house here. Now you guys are probably thinking, well, who cares? It's just an auction house. Well, the reason this is interesting is because this is actually a cross-faction auction house. So you can actually buy and sell things with other people that are also on your server that are the opposing faction. This could actually be pretty useful for things that are easier to obtain as Alliance or easier to obtain as Horde, because you could probably get some extra money by dumping it here. Now, this exists, I think, in 2 places. I think it's here and also in Gadgetzan. I'm not entirely sure on that one, but most of the stuff is probably going to be the same right now. It's just going to be like the same stuff on both sides. And there's obviously going to be a lot less listings in here since it does only show up in the cross-faction auction houses, but it's still pretty interesting. Oh my god! 50-50, baby! No! What? Look at those rolls! What the fuck? What? Look at those rolls! What is that?
Oh, video content. Video content.
What is that? I probably mentioned this in my last episode, but as you can imagine, Scarlet Monastery tends to be very contested in terms of world PvP. Now what happened here is this guy managed to fear all of us into a location where we actually got stuck and couldn't move. Now, the weird thing is that Kurt managed to get out of here, but Sick and I were stuck in this corner. And as you can see, there's bones beneath us and everything, meaning tons of people were getting feared here deliberately. And I'm pretty sure, honestly, what happened is that this guy was deliberately fearing people into this spot knowing that this would happen, which was a little bit obnoxious. But yeah, we eventually managed to get out, but it wasn't exactly a simple solution. We had to hearth, basically. Sick managed to squeeze his way back out, but I couldn't. This is like... No, this is an unloaded zone. We're past the instance door. You can see people jumping into the instance right there. Oh, there goes fucking, like, 5 to 10 minutes. Alright. God damn it, man. This man's like hardcore tailing me right now, dude. What the heck? I don't get it! He has now passed me! How has he passed me? What the heck? Freaking Gothicus, he's hacking. Hacking, 100%. Whoa!
Oh.
That's actually like really fucking good
Blast
for
the
rogues.
target. Are we greening it?
Yeah, screwed it. Read it.
I was gonna say that.
Hey!
It's a good dagger for it.
What are my rolls? Look at my fucking rolls tonight. What the heck?
Oh!
What's with all the blues, dude? What the heck?
Yeah, he needs that.
It's bad, but feels good at the same time.
It feels good because my Stranglethorn.
Ding, baby.
Rats.
Oh, it's actually pretty good.
Rats.
Oh, wait.
Wait. Hold on. You ready for the best part? Are you ready? Let's get this.
See it.
Let's get this. Here we go. Hell yeah, dude. Let's go, boys. You guys ready for this shit?
Oh.
Let's go, baby.
It's green.
Kill it before it lays eggs.
Oh,
Look
that
at-
spell crit, dog.
Oh,
Nuts.
let's fucking go, baby. Look at this
about
dagger in my hand. This does not look right. You saw this looming over you at night? Look at this dagger. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks a lot weird from the side.
Yeah.
More worried about the fire orb he has in his other hand. How are you not burning your brothers?
Man, you are hot.
Yeah, represent, dude.
Yeah. Really, Kurt, get up there. You know you want to.
What?
Get in front of him.
Represent the Chris Farley dance, man. I see all these things behind me. All these saber cat kind of things back here. This is what I've been working towards, and this is what I mentioned at the start of this video. Now this is gonna be probably a really bad decision, but I'm gonna go ahead and pick up ride training, tiger riding, I guess. I think it's different from city to city, but that costed 18 gold. And if you thought that was bad, this is where it gets worse. This part cost 72 gold. I now have 26 silver left. But there we go. I have used my mount. And there it is. I didn't really bother looking at him. I'm not really too fussed which is which, but dude, I have a mount now. My first mount in WoW, and oh, dude, it's so good. Now, as a druid, this honestly is probably something I could have put off because I do have access to travel form, and I totally could have just waited. Now, mount training is pretty important, especially when you're leveling in at level 40. Now, it's not necessarily important that you get it at level 40, but this mount increases my movement speed by 60%. Now, when you get to level 60, there is the option to spend an additional 1,000 gold in order to get a 100% movement speed mount and training for it, but I'm not really sure that's necessary. The reason this is such a big deal is because it speeds up questing a lot, and as you guys have probably seen in previous episodes, or if you played the game yourself, you probably know that running around is quite slow. Even with a mount, it's still going to take a long time to get from place to place, but now I can actually do it 60% faster, which is pretty nice. Now, there is one thing that I didn't address, and that's the fact that I'm really poor now. So that's just not ideal at all. The money should come back pretty quickly, especially because I have my skinning pretty high now. What I'm probably going to do is most likely just head back to Stranglethorn Vale and keep working on the quests in this area because there's a lot of stuff that I can still skin, and I can just vendor all that and hopefully make some money from that. And some of the quests in this area are still pretty close to my level, so I should be able to do it. The other option is to move to one of my favorite zones, and that zone is Teneris, but all the quests here are still a little bit high level for me, so I kind of want to get like maybe 41 or 42 before I head there. Otherwise, I'm just going to be getting all my spells resisted constantly. Since Boomkin Form doesn't actually give me anything in the way of... I think I gotta do it. Oh, I unbound this. I gotta figure that one out. Boomkin Form doesn't give me anything in the way of actual damage aside from this spell critical. It just gives me a whole lot of extra armor, which is going to make questing a lot easier. It means I'll be able to tank a lot harder. But it is a little weird that I can't cast even Mark of the Wild on myself while I'm in this form. That one is a little strange, but that's classic WoW for you. Decided to actually go back and do some dungeons instead of doing too much questing, because I wanted to try out my Boomkin abilities. Now, I don't literally get any abilities, and honestly the Boomkin form is a bit underwhelming in classic WoW, which kind of sucks. But it still looks pretty cool, and I'm pretty excited to have it, though I might end up respecking pretty soon. I was questing with Sick, and we decided we would head over to the Razorfen Downs, a dungeon that we hadn't really touched yet, but it's one that we just kind of came into the level bracket for, and we decided we'd try it out just to mix it up a little bit and to see if there were any quests in the area. Look at that face. Face only a mother could love. Because I'm a warrior, Kappa. Just because warriors need agility, right? That's their primary stat. Ooh, Excalibur! I love it. I love it. I love it. That's cute. That's a cute name. How do they get to this one? That house. How do they get there? There's not even a ladder. It's just there. There's no way to get there. It's just there. Well, I've been doing some research, and I know I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to be playing casually, but I've been looking into boomkins a lot more, and I'm starting to realize that, you know, the problems that I'm experiencing while questing are problems that I'm going to continue to experience well in the end game of playing as a moonkin. Now, I do still intend on switching into restoration and becoming a healer once I actually start raiding. However, I think for the remaining portion of my levels, I really want to switch over and be a feral druid. Now, feral druids, they have a little bit more accessibility in terms of training and questing and whatnot, and the fact that I don't have to constantly wait for my mana. And since I like doing group questing, having someone else with me who can just heal me back up will be really easy. I can also just pop out of cat form and heal myself up. I think it's just the right play to switch to feral druids. The problem is, since I just bought my mount training, I don't really have a lot of money. So I'm going to go peruse the auction house, see if I can find some really cheap agility gear, and then I'll probably respec and switch into feral, which allows me to talk about a couple of different things since I haven't really explained the concept of respecking yet. I know that I was like really excited to be a boomkin in this episode, and I do still think boomkins are awesome, But I really think, oh my god, just look at all this gear. I really do think that it's probably worth it for me to switch to Pharaoh just because it'll be ease of leveling. I spent about 8 or 9 gold buying some gear. I found some of the cheaper stuff. Some of it's a little low level, but at the same time, some of the gear that I have on now is a little low level, so I'm not really super concerned with replacing it with the best possible gear that I can. For example, I couldn't find any helmets, and I don't think that's that big of a deal. I'll try and replace my helmet whenever I get the opportunity to do so. Now, of course, this is the painful part. Equipping all of this and just watching all of my money be lost because I know that I can only resell it to vendors now. It's not that big of a deal. Like I said, it's alright. This is something that I wanted to do, and I think that it will overall end up helping me more than it will end up hurting me. So, this is what my new gear is looking like. Now I have to go respec into Feral. So I'm going to see if I can maybe work out a good talent build myself. Maybe I'll look online and see if I can find any kind of interesting ones as well. Oh, also, apparently I lied. I did find a helmet. I didn't find a necklace. That's the thing I couldn't find. Mostly because there aren't really a whole lot of necklaces listed, but I think I'll find one eventually. It's not that big of a deal. Now, to introduce the concept of respecking to you guys, I mentioned that every time you level, you get a talent point. I feel like most of you guys will be pretty familiar with that concept at this point in the game, and as you know, up to this point, I've put all of my talents into the balance tree, which is intended on being a mage DPS talent. However, I have actually reached a point where, like I said, I don't think this is really going to cut it too much for questing anymore, and although the bonuses I get from going into Moonkin form are kind of nice, in the fact that my team gets 3% spell crit, it's not really that big of a difference, and there are a lot of inconveniences that I can't actually do in Moonkin form. So if you aren't happy with your talents, or if you made a mistake, you should still be really careful, but you can go back to your trainer and unlearn your talents. However, this does cost money, and the cost increases every time you do it. I think it increases up to a total of, yes, you're going to hear this right, 50 gold if you respect too much. Now, the first time is only 1 gold, which isn't too big of a deal, but it still does suck to unlearn some of the stuff that I've been really enjoying using up to this point. That being said, I still think this is worth it, so I'm going to go try and work out a good feral talent tree. So, admittedly, I forgot to turn on my recorder just there. I did train a few abilities, the most notable of which is Dire Bear form. I know it looks exactly the same as Bear form, but it actually increases the amount of health and armor I get, so basically it's just an upgrade to the actual shapeshift itself, which is pretty interesting. Now, the thing that I have to do is figure out other abilities and my talents still. I think I have a pretty good starting spec here. Most of the stuff is like reduces the cost of my abilities or increases its damage. There's some stuff that I chose to avoid, like for example this. It says that it reduces the chance enemies have of detecting me while prowling, which is basically me when I'm stealthed. And although this will be nice for questing, I don't think that it's worth putting 5 talent points into for that. Maybe it will eventually. Other stuff like increased movement speed while in cat form, just like crit chance, additional combo points. And of course, down at the bottom, the final talent in the Feral tree is very similar to the final talent in the Boomkin tree in the fact that the Boomkin one gave spell crit. This one, however, just gives the same effect except for ranged and melee attacks, so for hunters and then all melee classes, which I think is equally useful, so it should be fine. It's going to take me some time to kind of adapt to this. I did look up like a little bit of like what a rotation is, and it's actually incredibly simple, just difficult to execute, though I don't think that's super relevant while leveling, since, well, once I hit 60, I'm just going to switch to Resto anyway. Before this episode wraps up, though, I still do want to get some more money so that I can afford to, afford to start buying some bear form stuff, since I'm probably going to eventually end up being an off-tank in certain teams. My heals are still actually fairly effective as Feral, even though I don't really have the same gear, but there's level 41. I am questing in a new area right now with my friends, and this new area is known as Teneris. Now, Teneris is a really cool zone as well. It's a big desert, but it's mostly cool because of a dungeon called Zul'Farrak. Now, I'm not going to be doing any Zul'Farrak in this episode, but I promise you, when I get there, I will be doing it a lot. I know that once again I say this about just about every dungeon in the game, but Zul'Farrak is very iconic to me, and it was a really big nostalgia thing. It's one of my favorite dungeons. I used to actually run it all the time for money back in the day, and I'm excited to do it. It's a little bit high level right now though, so we're gonna have to wait just a little bit before we can. Now, it's probably weird to you that it looks like I'm zone hopping so much, But this is a very weird level bracket, and it's kind of hard to find quests that are doable at this level. So we actually did go to this zone for a little bit of questing later, but the main reason we're actually here is for a quest from the previous zone we were in. Now, this zone is Feralus. We're currently awkwardly swimming by a horde camp in Feralus, but the main reason we're here is for that quest that I mentioned. Now, that quest introduces the process of attunement. Now, attunement is a very, very weird thing, but it's something that's very important to talk about. Now, what is attunement? What does it mean? And what does it do? Now, there are several different dungeons and raids in Classic WoW that require this attunement, and what it means is basically you have to do certain quests or get certain items from certain zones in order to gain access to dungeons or gain access to special bosses in dungeons. What we're doing right now is actually a quest chain that is going to give us access to a special boss in the dungeon Zul'Farrak that I just mentioned. In addition, this quest chain is actually required to gain access to a boss in a future dungeon known as Sunken Temple. Now, we don't really have to do this because the items that we're getting from these bosses aren't going to actually end up being our pre-raid best in slot items. However, it's just cool to have access to most of the bosses in the game. What a terrifying angle that was. It's just cool to have access to most of the bosses in the game. In addition to that, there are very, very serious attunement quests and processes in the future that you actually need to get into raids. Both of the raids in Phase 1, Molten Core and Onyxia's Lair, require very serious attunement quests that are long chains that take several hours in order to do. So, going to have to work on those at some point, and when that happens, I probably will talk about attunement again, but for now, just consider it that we have to do these quests to gain access to special bosses that have good loot. Not sure if this is just my imagination, but are those rocks wobbling? Because it kind of feels like they are. Now, I had just talked about attunement a little bit and explained it to you guys, but to get further into detail, what we actually had to do for the attunement for this quest is we had to start by killing a troll in the area of the hinterlands, and this troll elite was very, very high above our level. So we had to kill this to get an item. Once we got that item, we then had to go through the same zone of the hinterlands and scale a troll city known as Jinthalor. Now this city, we didn't expect it to be as rough as it was. To put it bluntly, there were a lot of deaths. We weren't the only group trying to do this at the time. There was also a Horde group and another Alliance group that was trying to get to the top. But as you can see, pretty much everything that I'm targeting here is a very high-leveled elite, and we had to go through this entire city to get to the top. Now, when I say this is a troll city, I don't mean it's troll city as in it is a Horde city. I mean, these are all NPCs. Once we did reach the top right here, though, we had to kill all of these mobs in the middle, which are so high level that I actually couldn't even see them, or they are labeled as raids bosses. And then once they were dead, we had to loot an item off of them. It was a pretty long attunement process, but it was definitely interesting for sure, and it was probably worth doing, although we should have waited until we were just a bit higher level. Yeah, there it is. Level 42. Let's freaking go, dude. So I'm kind of just winging this spec since I know that once I get to the max level that I'm going to be switching, so I'm not focusing too hard on making this like the most efficient spec in the world. I'm just trying to think what's best for me while leveling and, you know, most helpful for my friends and I when we're doing dungeons. But now that I'm level 42, I actually did just come out here to kill some stuff to get the level. I'm going to go back to Stormwind and see if I can actually afford some of my training now, because I actually have a few gold again. Alright, here we are. Let's see what we have available to us. I'm still going to ignore some of the random crap that I think is bad, and to be honest, now that I'm a bit higher level, and now that I'm switching my focus from balance to cat form, it makes more sense for me to start to ignore some of the balance stuff. I am, however, going to pick up Hurricane, because this is an AoE spell. I think I've explained them before, but in case I haven't, an AoE spell basically just means that it's a spell that can hit multiple targets. It's attack on everything, so I can hit everything there. So I'm going to pick that up just because I feel like that is going to be pretty useful. I'm going to start trying to pick up some of these bear abilities as well in case I ever need to off-tank. So let's go ahead and hide balance for a little bit and just start grabbing all of these rank ups for bear form. Challenging Roar is a mass taunt, it looks like, so that's pretty good. Grab that. And, hey, I still want to see this. Better Bash. Better Fairy Fire is actually pretty important because it's helpful for me. These are just increased ranks, so we're just going to keep grabbing all these abilities we already have. Ferocious Bite, though, that's fantastic. That'll be very helpful for me. I don't know if I really need to keep upgrading Demoralizing Roar, to be honest. I'm blowing through a lot of gold right now. But it's okay. Just keep doing it. It's fine. It's worth it. Better Mark of the Wild is totally worth it. And I think I'm just going to finish off with a better Tranquility, since I won't be able to afford anything else. But that is a lot of upgrades there. We just got like 10 or 15 abilities. Pretty happy with that. On that note, though, I do think this is where I am going to go ahead and wrap up the video. We did get level 40. Actually, we got level 42. And we got our mount training. And we have even switched specs. So a lot has happened in this one. I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. If you have, definitely make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, as well as clicking on one of the videos in the recommended feed on the bottom right of your screen, or if you're on mobile, below the video. Because those all help me get more recommended views on this video, and it would mean a lot if you guys could do that for me. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys next time with probably some more questing and potentially a new very large dungeon grind.